For winterizing your water heater, there's a few steps that need to be taken on the inside of the camper. Underneath this panel, at least in mine, I'm not sure of any other layouts, but down in here, I just have always, I've removed all the screws all around here, and I just leave them out because they're not really necessary, and it makes for easier access to get in here rather than having to unscrew them every time. But so yeah, this is the back of your water heater here. And so of course you've got cold water going into your water heater. It heats that water up, and the water comes out hot and delivers to the rest of your camper. And so what you want to do is bypass your water heater when you're going to fill your other water lines with antifreeze. I know some people like to blow them out with just air, but I like to fill mine with antifreeze just because that's the way I've always done it. Anyway, you can see here underneath all this stuff, this white line here, that is your water in. So that's coming from your either your pump or your freshwater inlet. It all kind of hooks together back up under there. But water comes in here, okay, all the way around, and then cold water continues out this way to deliver to the rest of your camper there, right back here at this elbow there. And so that's your cold water feed for your shower and your sink. And then before that, it tees off here, and you can see that if you follow it this way, okay, this goes in to the bottom of your water heater right there, okay? So then that fills your water heater full, and then the water will heat up inside the heating chamber there, and then when you call for hot water, out it comes. And you can see this red tube here is your hot water going out this way, okay, and then down there and delivering to the camper through this red line right here. So you've got your cold line and your hot line all delivering there. So now for your bypass, what you do, this valve here is your bypass valve. So right now I've got it shut off. It's in the off position, okay, so that water now is coming up through here, and sure, yeah, it fills this hose and stops, okay, because this valve is closed. Water can't pass through this whole section of tubing here because it's closed off. So your water is running through this open valve here into the water heater, heating up and coming out, passing through this open valve here, and it comes down and stops right there. So you've got just a little valve here that's shut off, of course, and then it delivers through. So the way you want to bypass your water heater is by closing off your inlet valve, okay? So you just turn it to where it's perpendicular to your line there. So that's closed now, so water can no longer enter the water heater, okay? And then of course here you want to do the same thing and close it so water can no longer exit your water heater either. So now you've completely isolated your inlet and outlet of your water heater so that water cannot go in and water cannot come out. Now, you still want to feed water, or antifreeze in this case, through your plumbing system. So that's what this bypass is for. Okay, so now you want to open up this valve, okay, so that it's parallel. Okay, so that's closed, that's open. I hope you can see that. So you open up this valve so that it's parallel. So now water comes in here, and it will continue going that way, and it will come through here, and it'll stop there, okay? Or I should say antifreeze will come through here, and then up through this valve now, okay? And it will fill back in here, and it'll go here, and so now your hot and cold lines are connected, okay, and it's completely bypassing your water heater. You never, ever, ever want to put antifreeze into your water heater. If you do that, you will have to spend a lot of time flushing that stuff out of there because it's viscous, it's really thick, and it does not like to flush out. And if you ever heat up your water heater with antifreeze in it, you may as well get a new water heater, because your hot water will always smell and taste funny after that. So if you can, avoid putting antifreeze into your water heater, unless you've already done it, in which case you may have some smelly and weird tasting water. But yeah, that is just a quick video on how to do your hot water bypass for your water heater inside your Tada, or your tab, I guess. I assume they're the same. I've not looked inside a tab, but yeah, so it's pretty simple. Water comes in, and you want to bypass your water heater using this 3-valve system here. And of course, I'm not exactly ready to start doing that right now, so I'm going to go ahead and close off my bypass valve, open up my inlet valve, and open up my outlet valve, so that water can still flow through into my water heater and out of my water heater, because I think I still have one more trip yet that we're going to be doing. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just avoid getting antifreeze in your water heater, and if you want to blow out your lines, you can do that, but it requires an air compressor and hooking up to one of these lines back under here. It's just kind of a pain, but yeah, hopefully I'll be able to put a little video together about how to go about putting antifreeze through your lines, and so yeah, look for that video to come. Thanks. Okay, now for the winterization process for your water heater. On the outside, the work that needs to be done out here. All the tools you will need for this job is one of these here. It's an adjustable crescent wrench. This is an 8-inch. It just happens to work and fit perfectly where it needs to go. I tried all different kinds of pliers and stuff and chewed up my plastic plug a little bit in the process, but I found out that that tool there works perfectly for this. So go ahead and drop your cover, and let me kind of run through what you're looking at in here for those of you that might not know. Right here is your drain plug. Okay, it's just a little plastic plug right there, and I've got mine wrapped in some thread tape there just to make a better seal. And then the other important component for your draining process is going to be this guy right here. This is a temperature and pressure relief valve. And once you have shut off your valves on the inside of the water heater for your bypass, there will be no way for any air to get into your water heater tank to allow this to drain properly. So it's just going to kind of glug out and glug out and glug out unless you open this relief valve. That way air can go straight up in there, and then it will cause better airflow so that you can get your water to come out of here on a steady stream. And that'll give you better draining and a more complete drain on your water heater tank. So you're going to get a little bit wet doing this, but it's not that big a deal. So again, you want to get your little crescent wrench in here. I'm going to try to do this one-handed with a video, but it just kind of fits right on there, and you can adjust it if you need it, but it should just it's difficult with one hand here. Let me try to tighten it up. You can hear my dogs barking in the background. Sorry about that. Okay. So there's that. Okay. So then this will just unscrew. I'm going to kind of try to get out of the way so I don't get super wet. Okay. Okay, so you can see how it's just kind of glugging and sloshing out of there. It's not really a very good drain, but when I open this, you'll notice a difference here. Boom. So that's able to really flow the air up through the top, and then now that water is just streaming out. So you're unloading 6 gallons here, and what's a lot of people will try to kind of jack their trailer up on the opposite side so that it tips, but this tank is designed so that that drain hole there is the low spot in the tank. And if you end up with just a little bit of water left in the bottom of the tank, it's really not going to be that big of a deal, even in freezing temperatures. We live in central Indiana, and we got down to -20 or something this past winter. And this is literally all I do for my water heater winterization. I don't put anything in it. You never want to put antifreeze in your water heater. Just drain it out nice and complete, and then put your plug back in, and you should be good to go. Whatever little water remains in that tank is not going to cause a problem, even if it does freeze. It won't expand enough to cause any issues, and the tank itself is structurally sound enough to, you know, absorb any kind of freezing energy that might happen with the tiny bit of remaining water in there. Now, of course, flushing your water heater is a totally different story. When you flush your water heater, you want to hook up to your city water here and allow pressure to go in here, okay, and then just let it flush the water out at a high rate. And when you do that, you definitely want to have this closed, okay? So now water is coming in at pressure into your tank and just blowing out. So if you've got any kind of sediment chunks or anything like that in the bottom of your water heater tank in there, then it'll blow those sediment chunks out, and you'll kind of see them. But it just depends on the water quality that you are putting into your water heater. But a lot of water heaters will end up with some sort of sediment in the bottom, or calcium deposits, that kind of stuff. And flushing out is a good idea each year, especially with a tank as small as ours. 6 gallons isn't really a lot. And so any kind of sediment buildup in there could cause some issues. So flushing your water heater is another thing that, you know, it's just one more thing you can do to prolong the life of your water heater on your Tada. So it looks like we're getting just a little bit of a trickle still yet here, but that's about, I mean, that's kind of how I treat it, you know. That's really about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my plug back on. You want to make sure when you're putting this back in, you do not want to do what's called cross threading. If this doesn't go easily with your fingers at very first, then you've done something wrong. You've got it a little bit wonky in there, and if you cross thread this plastic plug, you will ruin it. You'll just kind of chew up those threads, and it'll just get all wrong. Now I don't need to really tighten this up any more than I can with my fingers for storing it for the season, because I'm not going to be filling it with water anymore. Now if I was planning on going on another trip, then I would probably tighten that up nice and snug, and just make sure that it wasn't leaking after I filled it. But for right now, for storing for the winter, just finger tight is enough on that plug. And I go ahead and keep this valve closed. If you leave it open, it could cause some problems. There's a little rubber piece up inside here that could dry out and stuff. You want to make sure it's closed and nice and seated. And that should be it for your water heater maintenance for wintertime.